And this is an Eyewitness News election update. I'm Sade Baderinwa. In the race for New York City mayor, we are now less than 3 weeks until Election Day, and it was a busy day on the campaign trail for the candidates. Zohran Mamdani talked education, Andrew Cuomo spoke about the future of Rikers, and Curtis Sliwa discussed crime. Meanwhile, outgoing Eric Adams, who was in 4th place when he dropped out last month, says he's still not making public his endorsement, but he is talking to Andrew Cuomo about the possibility. That's as Mamdani takes his message to a national audience, appearing on Fox News for the first time. We're going to break down the race with our political team, but first, here's NJ Burkett.
Zohran Mamdani brought his trademark smile to the studios of the Fox News channel, where he is often derided as a communist, and spoke directly to President Trump.
I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams, who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo, who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who's ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city.
Mamdani used his time on Fox to make his populist case to a conservative national audience, defending tax increases to fund childcare and mass transit, sparring over Middle East policy, and apologizing to the NYPD for derisive remarks he made in the past.
Absolutely, I'll apologize to police officers right here, because this is the apology that I've been sharing with many rank and file officers. And I apologize because of the fact that I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day.
The other two candidates.
Today, Republican Curtis Sliwa addressed a modest audience at the Association for a Better New York, the same group that hosted Mamdani last week, before an audience so large it was held at Jazz at Lincoln Center. In his characteristic bravado, but without his characteristic beret, Sliwa tried to link his opponents to one another.
I'm the only clear candidate that differs from them on almost every instance. To me, Andrew Cuomo was really Zohran Mamdani light.
Today, Mayor Adams appeared on a webcast and confirmed he's considering endorsing Cuomo.
I'm in conversation with Andrew. I think it's important that we can't succumb to the far left agenda in this city.
Cuomo today had this to say.
I think the more support you have, the better.
But it was Mamdani who stole the headlines, looking at the camera a third time to address the former governor.
Now that it's politically convenient, he watches Fox News as well, so I'll just speak to him directly. Andrew, you had your chance to lead this state. You took that time to sell out working-class New Yorkers to your billionaire donors.
And that was NJ Burkett reporting. Joining me now is ABC News Deputy Political Director Ben Siegel. And Ben, thank you for joining us. You saw that moment, which I think was so memorable, when Mamdani stared into the camera, taking on Trump and then Cuomo. What is your reaction to that?
I think it's fascinating to see him do this. We've seen, his very energetic campaign, go everywhere, talk to everyone and anyone. And I think this might be, one person in particular he was trying to reach, and that's President Trump, arguably Fox News' most high-profile viewer. When you watch Fox News and you learn about Zohran Mamdani from watching Fox News, a lot of the coverage and a lot of the comments about him are about his political ideology. The president himself has called him an 100% communist lunatic. A lot about his policies, but I think the first time he is on the air, he is able to put a different face on his policies. And he has this charisma about him that even his detractors will acknowledge. And I think doing it now in front of voters in New York who watch Fox News, but also the president at a time when the president has been threatening New York funding, I think is very significant.
Yeah, and Ben, not only did he take on the president, he also took on Cuomo, saying, you had your time. He used that platform to really speak to a conservative national audience. Do you think that he broke any ground with this interview?
I think he's definitely breaking through to people who are maybe not used to hearing directly from him. I think there's been no shortage of ads on television, on the internet in New York City, slicing and dicing what the candidates say by the opposing campaigns to deliver their message. But I wonder how many people watching Fox regularly have actually heard from Mamdani in his words. Asking and answering questions from a Fox News anchor, I think, is significant. And I mean, it's unclear if that will build support, but we do know from reporting and from what Mamdani has acknowledged himself that he has actually earned the support of quite a few New Yorkers who voted for Donald Trump in the election in 2024 and then voted for him. And he is arguing, as he did with that message to Trump, that they kind of share a goal on lowering prices and affordability. Whether that's been done in the first year of the Trump administration, I'm sure Mamdani would disagree with, but he's made clear that they're both campaigning on that issue of affordability then and now.
Yeah, and he also made clear, he was defending his tax increases and apologizing to the NYPD. So that was really a significant moment.
Yeah, I think the direct apology to the New York Police Department was interesting because it seemed like the first two-camera remarks to President Trump might have been something that he rehearsed. It wasn't something that the anchor invited. But then when she invited him to turn to the camera and give a message to police officers, he did so eagerly. And I think we've seen a very interesting transformation in his policy about law enforcement, about the NYPD, especially as he faces New Yorkers who are skeptical about his plans to keep New Yorkers safe. You also heard him say that he'd be willing to consider retaining the current commissioner of the NYPD, which I think would be a significant move and something of an olive branch to voters who might not feel like they agree with his past sentiments on public safety. So this was just another example of what he's trying to do and how he's trying to deliver that message. And we know in the past that he has acknowledged that Bill de Blasio is one of his role models in terms of progressive goals and bringing them to Gracie Mansion. Bill de Blasio was famously rejected by the NYPD, and one of those images.
And when everyone turned their backs on him, yeah.
So I think in some ways he's trying to circumvent that. There are going to be people who don't agree with Mamdani, but all he can do is get his message out there and make clear to people who don't disagree with him that he's willing to change his views on certain things. Yeah,
which is why he met with a couple dozen NYPD officers over the last few days, already apologizing, certainly for his earlier stance saying defund the police. So he's trying to make headway there. Let's talk about Mayor Adams. He's now out. The race is reshaping fast. And when you look at the latest Quinnipiac poll, it shows Zohran Mamdani support at 46%. Cuomo's at 33%, and Sliwa trails with 15%. Adams has not, as we know, endorsed a candidate yet, but his words today may signal that that's coming soon. Let's take a listen and get your reaction on the other side, Ben.
There's a non-starter for me in Zohran, and not even so much for his policies, but the policies of the DSA. So when you look at the DSA's policies, that Zohran said he's fully embraced, is problematic for working class people in this city. And so I can't see myself endorsing him. And so that leaves Curtis and Andrew. We are in conversations. I'm in conversation with Andrew. If I say to New Yorkers, this is who I endorse, I need to make sure that they are not going to be harmful to the city that I love so much. There's a lot of time. Don't let anyone fool you to believe this race is over. Trust me. There's a lot of time to determine who's going to be the next mayor of the city of New York.
So how significant would an Adams endorsement be in this race? Do you think it still carries real political weight, Ben, or is this more symbolic than substantive?
I think there's no doubt that Andrew Cuomo, to win this race, needs to consolidate the rest of New York that does not want to vote for Zohran Mamdani. And certainly Eric Adams has his supporters, and we saw that in the primary. The difference between that poll that you just pointed out and the ballot that voters will be casting next month is that Eric Adams will still be on that ballot. So even if he does get this endorsement, Andrew Cuomo still might struggle to peel away every single Adams voter just because Eric Adams procedurally will be on the ballot. But certainly, he's also not the only one left in the race. You mentioned Curtis Sliwa, even though he was
still there,
not recognizable without his beret, but he's still on the ballot. And, to really match up with what Mamdani has in the polls right now, you're going to have to consolidate the entire rest of the race. And Sliwa has made it pretty clear that he's not planning to resign. Yeah,
no indication of that whatsoever. But if he does get out the race, do you think it reshapes this race altogether?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that will definitely make it close, and I think Democrats who are supporting Mamdani would be lying to you if they said that would not give them a little bit of anxiety. But I think the other thing that's worth keeping in mind is that, the polls model the electorate and who we expect to turn out and vote. And I think what Mamdani did so successfully in the primary was that he reshaped the electorate of New York City. He brought in voters who maybe hadn't voted before. he had a strong base of support that wasn't necessarily anticipated in certain corners. So if he can do that again in November, if he can bring people out to vote in New York who maybe are not regular voters and maybe change the coalition that brings him in, then I think he will still be on the front runner here. And remember, he is working hard for that. His campaign has said that he wants a mandate for his progressive ideas. He still will have to get buy-in from Albany to do a lot of what he wants to do. So in order to do that, he's going to want the strongest possible mandate at the ballot box. So I don't think they're taking any vote for granted either.
You know, Adam said, don't let anyone fool you, that there is still a lot of time. Well, there really isn't much time, Ben. Early voting starts next weekend, and there are now 19 days to election. So Cuomo has got a lot to do. So does Sliwa.
Yeah, there's time is running out for sure to catch up with Zoran Mamdani, and really is not on their side here. Again, we don't want to rule anything out, but this race clearly has a favorite right now, and it still appears to be Mamdani.
Yeah. There's certainly momentum on his side. You know, Adams also made a point of saying he won't support anyone who could be harmful to the city. That is, I think, a signal that he's distancing himself for the DSA, for those of you who don't know, the Democratic Socialists of America, and that he's really aligning more with moderates and centrists. And centrists, of course, is what Cuomo was trying to go after. What do you think of that?
I think it's important. I think Mamdani, is popular. He's charismatic, but he also, represents this vision for the city that maybe a lot of New Yorkers don't agree with, even if they agree with his focus on affordability. I think you can find you can find more New Yorkers in the city who agree that it costs too much to live in the city than you will find who want to start shopping at grocery stores that are run by the city. So there are some parts of his program and some parts of his ideology that maybe don't have that much support, and that is what I think we're seeing Adams seize on, in that some planks of the socialist, Democratic Socialist platform, of the Mamdani platform, may not be that appealing to a majority of New Yorkers, and that's why he's trying to get that message out there. But again, whether or not that resonates over Mamdani's own message, over some of the unfavorable qualities about Cuomo's campaign and his legacy that have dragged down his popularity, I guess we'll find out in a matter of weeks.
Well, Ben, thank you so much. There's so much more that I want to get into, but we're going to check back in with you tomorrow and, of course, all the days leading up to the election. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, ABC News Deputy Political Director Ben Siegel. And a last note before we go for voters in New Jersey. A new poll in the race for governor shows Mikey Sherrill with a slight lead over Jack Ciattarelli. The Quinnipiac University poll has Sherrill with 50%, Ciattarelli with 44%. And the poll in September had Sherrill up 8 points. And we should note that this is the first new poll since the last week's debate, which was seen here on Channel 7. And right before the debate, an Emerson College poll had showed a completely deadlocked race. Ballots will be cast soon, with early voting beginning on Monday in Connecticut. It starts Saturday, the 25th in New York and New Jersey, continuing through the Sunday before Election Day. And I'm Sade Baderinwa, full coverage on all of the big races ahead of Election Day on ABC 7 NY.